Okay, welcome to Pini B'Satara Parshas Vayeira. Thank you, Ari, for putting it together, and welcome Yaakov Menachem Mendel and Avrami. That's from see every week. Okay, Parshas Vayeira. Avram Avinu in this week's parsha. He reaches a certain level of shleimus. Right, Avram Avinu at the end of last week's parsha, he got the bris milah, and he had his name changed from Avram to Avraham, and Sarah also had her name changed from Sarai to Sarah. And now Parshas Vayeira, they've reached a certain level of shleimus that they get haftach, they're going to have banim. Ultimately, Avram Avinu is here in this world to build a Klal Yisrael. And until now, there's been a lot of groundwork going in his avodah to be able to be roi to have a Yitzchak, and Yitzchak ultimately is to be roi to have a Yaakov. And once you have Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, you have the avos. That Klal Yisrael Shashim are all set. Are all set. So now we're holding Vayeira. Avram Avinu's nach the bris, nach name being changed to Avram, he's zeicher to be in the begin of shleimus. That's what's going on in the beginning of the parsha. Vayeira Elav Hashem Eleni Mami. This Indian of this gilui of Vayeira Elav Hashem, right? Shteit that Hashem said anything at this point, right? Vayeira Elav Hashem. Hashem just he was nasem merkabel shchina, right? Avram Avinu now have this bechina that Hashem comes to him. Chazal tells us to speak of chaylim, right? But on a more klolistic eifin, what it is that there's a bechina of shleimus that Avram Avinu has reached at this point. So it says that the Megala Mukha speaks this out in this week's parsha with just that it really overlaps with something we said in Parshas Balaischa on Vayas Kain Aaron. But he says as Avram Avinu this week's parsha, he is zeicher to be masakin chet adam rishon and kilu. Now it's time to start rebuilding the belt. Right, we spoke about this in the past. Right, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they have to be a reset on the world. Adam Rishon was meant to build the world from his level. With the chet eitz hadas, there need to be a reset, and all the dairies up to Avram Avinu were doing some sort of, we'll call it excavation of the Veld, some sort of avodah in the Shrashim, and Avram Avinu is Lemaisa getting traction to start rebuilding the world, and the whole world is going to be rebuilt through Avram Avinu. And this is merumas in the Chazal. This merumas in the pasuk. Eila tol shemayim v'aretz b'hi baram. Right, you can hear this pasuk a lot. Eila tol shemayim v'aretz b'hi baram. B'hi baram is be'Avraham. Okay, the tol shemayim v'aretz, the whole world has become to having its whole tachlis of being built as b'hi baram with Avraham. Okay, that's passing in Bereshis, but it's been around is that ultimately Avraham is going to be the one who's coming onto the scene, who is going to take Adam Rishon's role. He is the new Adam. Okay, like we know Chazal tells, Atam Krim Adam, Einaytecham Krim Adam, because Adam Rishon, every child that came out of Adam Rishon besides Avram Avinu is no longer carrying the role of Adam. Okay, this is what the famous Chaim Vital says. The Mishnah Abba says, Chavivin Adam, right? Shenivra B'Tselem, right? Chavivin Yisrael Shenikra Bonim Lamakim. So the Mepharshim say that the Goyim are Nivra B'Tselem because there's Chavim Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, and then there's Chavivin Yisrael Shenikra Bonim Lamakim. So Chaim Vital says Avad Nisht. Goyim are not Adam. Right? Adam is only Klal Yisrael, right? Because Atam Krim Adam and I've Chav Krim Adam, right? Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem means Adam Rishon is Chav, he was Nivra B'Tselem. Who has that Tselem? Only Klal Yisrael, because Avram Avinu picked up where Adam left off. Okay, so Avram Avinu is the new Adam. Zakta Megala Mukha, he's the new Adam. This Parshas Vayeira, he's reached this madreg of Adam after the bris. Vayeira Elav Hashem is the Aragamas of Ma'aseh Bereshis. Okay, the Aragamas of Vayeira Elav Hashem. Like Rashi says here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Moitzi Chama Min Artika, right? Al Pi Pshat, it means he made it hot, right? Al Pi Gemara and Sukkah, Chama Min Artika, Gemara by the Zara, right? Lost at Lavai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Moitzi Chama Min Artika. tzadikim is adnimba, and Rishayim are nidainimba, right? The Chamim in Artika is a Shechina, which is our Haganus, which is the Gil of our Haganus. So this is what the Megal Mukha says is what's really going on over here. After the bris, Avram Avinu is now back to, on some level, Adam Rishon Kain Machet, and Yizaycha Vayeira Lav Hashem is our Haganus. So after the Megal Mukha, when it comes to the mimer of Vayir, it doesn't say by the Yom Rishon by Hichen. Every day of Ma'aseh Bereishis, the pasuk says, right, by Hichen, right? Let's say it says by the end of the sixth day, it says, right? It says by Yom Chamishi, it says. But it keeps the same Vayichein. Every time Hashem said a mimer, it says Vayichein. Okay? Yimarish B'Kriyas Shemayim, right? Vayichein, right? Every day Hashem says a mimer, He makes creation, it says Vayichein. When it comes to Yom Rishon state, right? Mayom Lakim Hi'ar, right? V'Yikra Lakim L'Kar Yom L'Chesh Kar L'Ay. But Yom Echad doesn't say Vayichein. Why doesn't it say Vayichein? So Zakta Medrash, because in as much as that the real R of Ma'aseh Bereishis is the R Agonis, which is the shine of the Shechinah and Adam Hazeh, a very clear, tangible Hashras HaShechinah, and HaKadosh Baruch took this R Gonzei L'Tzadikim L'Asad Lavai. Right, and it's called R Agonis. It was Nignas, so it doesn't say Vayichein because the Ma'aseh was put away, and the true R Agonis was no longer in the Welt, so it doesn't say Vayichein. Okay. Zok, the Megal Amukas, if you look at this week's parasha, right, it keeps on referencing the Lashon of Cain. It says, ki al Cain avartem al avdechem. You, Malachim coming as part of this display of Hashras HaShechinah is a b'china of Cain. By Yomu Cain ta'aseh kasher dibarta. The taka the Vayichein of Ma'aseh Bereishis is being stelled up back to our Agonis is over here in by Avram Avinu. Okay, so Avram Avinu is reaching a madrega of Shleimus to be the Be'avram, that Eil Tel Shemayim Be'aretz Be'hibar, and Avram is reaching this madrega of Shleimus in this week's parsha. What was the b'china of everyone else until now, right? Everyone else until now was doing groundwork. And what they were doing is they were being Isaac in. You mentioned, I think last week you mentioned this idea that the previous Dairis they were being Isaac in the Ilomos El Yonim, right? Olam Hazeh is a very tangible world, right? Lamal from Olam Hazeh is known as the Zaynim Abinyan, right? It's known as the 7 days of creation, which is very 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 gashmistic world. We know there's 10 spheres. The top 3 spheres is Chacham, Bina, and Das, and those are Machshava, right? Machshava is not L'maisa. Machshava precedes Maisa. Avram Avinu is Isaac in Olam Hazeh, told us Shemayim Ba'aretz, right? Earth, and the Dairis that were before Avram Avinu, let's say the tzaddikim that were before Avram Avinu, Sheis, Yered, Chanoich, Musishalach, Noach, right? These tzaddikim, they were a bechina of Machshava. They weren't L'maisa, okay? In as much as that they weren't L'maisa be Misak and Devel, they were Ki'ilu predecessors to the world. They have to, before you do Maisa, you always need some sort of Machshava. So Avram Avinu was a binyan of these tzaddikim, but ultimately they were more Machshavadik. If they're more Machshavadik, now we understand why they didn't influence their dar, right? In as much as their whole avodah was Machshava, so they could sit in their homes and be Isaac and Torah all day, and this is their bechina, they're telling Avek. Machshava. In Machshava, you don't affect everyone around you. You just bring the mindset. You bring the idea. You bring the chachma into the Welt. They brought this chachma into the Welt. Avram Avinu is Maisa. So Mel he's Isaac in be Mekarev Nefashas Esanefesh Shasa B'char, and this is his avodah. In the beginning of Parshas Noach, the Rashi contrasts Avram Avinu and Noach, And Avram Avinu is called, he doesn't need sad l'tamchay. Masha ein kain, Noach is called, he's tzarch sad l'tamchay. Right? He needed something, he needed a sad, he needed a kaviyachal Kadosh Baruch Hu to hold on to him. What's the pshat that he needed a Kadosh Baruch Hu to hold on to him? The pshat is because that so he says that so I was thinking the pshat I say that when you talk about the Olam Yisrael over there, Olam Yisrael, there's no period over there, right? You're not accomplishing anything. The Bechina, once you're connected to the Olam Yisrael, so you're Davik HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're Davik HaKadosh Baruch Hu so gans, you're not in an Olam of period, you're not in an Olam of a possibility of having any nisyonis. When you're holding it in machshava Davik HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so therefore you're in gans and connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So Mela, that's called Sad L'Tamchay. The word is, you just totally Davik and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You haven't accomplished anything in this world where there's things could go wrong. Masha'ik and Avram Avinu, he was Ein Tzarech Sad L'Tamchay, meaning he was able to let go of a total Dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, get involved in the Olam HaMaisa, and in the Olam HaMaisa, he was actually able to build. His building is his own binyan, right? When you accomplish in this world by getting involved in the bricks and mortar of this world and getting and taking the Yetzer Hara on and having a fight and winning, right? So all of a sudden you've accomplished. You're not totally living Davik. You're living in a matzav where you built something on your own. So you have this madrega. Okay, so I was thinking as follows, that this Rashi says Avram Avinu was on the Bechina that he doesn't need a Sada Tamchay. Masha Enki Noach needs a Sada Tamchay. So just a hair I had that in last week's parsha, that maybe to bring out this point. The pasuk says, "Es halakim es halach Noach." Right? Noach had a Kadosh Baruch Hu kilo lead him. Right? By Avram Avinu it says that es halakim asher his halachti lefonav. Right? The pasuk says that Eliezer tells Besuel that Avram Avinu said about himself, I went in front of Hashem. Okay? Meaning I led the way. Hashem didn't have to lead me. Noach it says, Es Elokim es halach Noach. The question is that l'chayra the Avram Avinu, we don't find he ever said Es Elokim asher salach l'fanav. Eliezer quotes Avram as having said that, okay? But Avram never really says it. We find that Hashem tells Avram Avinu by the Bris Milah, Hisalech lefanai v'heyeh samim, right? Which is the same idea. Hashem commands Avram Avinu, you go in front of me, right? And be gans, right? Be complete. So Hashem gives him this command to be Hisalech lefanai tamim, v'heyeh samim. But we don't find that Avram Avinu actually got there, except for the fact that Eliezer Taka says that Avram said about himself, "Es halakim asher hisalachti lefanav," I went in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, so Avram Avinu is this bechina that, like we're describing, by the fact that he got involved in the Olam Hazeh and he accomplished, he took on the challenge and he actually made something of himself. Because when you go against when you go against all the pressures of Olam Hazeh, when you go against all the nisyonis of Olam Hazeh, you actually build something. So you're a person, right? You've created. That's a tachlis. Tachlis, you have nisyonis and you create yourself, right? So Avram Avinu, he taka reaches to these madrigas, and it was hisalach lefanav v'heyeh samim. However, we find a very interesting thing. Rashi tells us that when it came to the Bris Milah, right? Hashem says by the Bris Milah, hisalach lefanav v'heyeh samim. I want you to go ahead of me. You don't need Sad L'Tamchay, right? What happened by the Bris Milah is like Rashi. The pasuk says, "Avram ben Tisha v'teisha shonim, b'hi moiloi b'sar arlosei." Avram was 99 years old when he b'hi moiloi b'sar arlosei, when his b'sar arla was Nemo, when the bris happened to him. So Rashi, what's this lashon? This funny lashon of b'hi moiloi, right? What is this lashon? So Rashi, that Avram took the knife to do the bris on himself. But he was afraid to do the bris. He was unable to do the bris. What does it say? Ma'asa Kadosh Baruch Hu, Sholach Yadai, V'achaz Imai. Hashem held a knife with him, and he did the bris with him, right? Shenema V'charis Imai Bris. You and Avram did the bris together. Okay? So comes that Pal de Gazach. Avram has a mitzvah, I want you to be self-sufficient. You're the one to lead. You don't need my help. You don't need Sadat Tamchay. Right? However, when it comes to Maisa by the bris, we see he was unable to reach his madrega. Right? Hitaka needed a Kadosh Baruch Hu to help him. So what does Rashi say? Avram Avinu didn't need Sadat Tamchay. We see Beferish, he couldn't do it by himself. He actually needed Hashem to hold his hand. Right? There's no greater Sadat Tamchay than that. What's the answer? The answer is l'chayra. That Kadosh Baruch Hu was telling Avram Avinu, his halach lefanei b'hayisam, you are going to reach your madrega of shleimus when you do your bris. Once you do the bris, then you're going to be able to be his halach lefanei. Through the bris, you're going to reach his madrega. Your shleimus right now is taka, not shleimus, and until you actually do the bris, you're going to need my help. But his halach lefanei b'hayisam means go do the bris, and through the bris, you're going to be able to go on your own, right? Once you're able to go on your own after the bris, so at this point Avram Avinu reaches madrega of Adam. Right? At this point we're going to say, Eila told the Shemayim V'aretz B'hi Baram. Now Avram got his hay, B'hi Baram with the hay, right? Avram with the hay. Plus you have your bris, okay? Because at that point he becomes told the Shemayim V'aretz. At that point he reaches the shleimus of Adam Rishon, like we said from the Megalamukas. Right now this is where he reaches his madrega of Adam Rishon. Okay. So the bris is what makes the nafkamina of Avram Avinu reaching the madrega of Eil Tol Shemayim V'aretz B'hi Baram. Okay? L'charetz mavur. If you look at Rashi when he wants to translate the word B'hi Moiloi over here, right? Avram ben Tishim v'Teishon B'hi Moiloi. So we said it's an interesting lashon B'hi Moiloi. So after Rashi, B'hi Moiloi is a lashon of B'hi Fa'al. Okay, it's a dictative called B'hi Fa'al, like when he was right Paul to do something. Where do you have this word? Such a grammatical usage. So after Rashi, Kimai Behi Baram, right? The pasuk of all the Rashi bringing for the grammar, Eil Tol Shemayim V'aretz Behi Baram is the same usage as Behi Mailai, right? What comes out? It says Behi Mailai Taka. In the Ma'isa Hamila, he wasn't holding Behi Baram, but Behi Mailai means through the Ma'isa Hamila you're going to be brought to your madrega of Behi Baram. That would be Avram Avinu, right? His getting to where he is today. He's being brought to madrega of Adam Rishon, and that's what's going on in this week's parsha. Now you have these madregas. The Aragonas is here, and you're going to be zeichet to have Yitzchak to have Bon. The Sari Menu, Midach Gisa, right? She also has her role over here of Tikkun Olam. She has to be the counterpart of Avram, who now he's Adam. As a counterpart, who is she? She's Chava. Okay? In order for Avram and Sarah to start rebuilding the world, they have to retake the role of Adam and Chava. So Avram reached the madrega of Adam. He's Adam Rishon with our Ganas over here. And Chava is the bechina of and Sarah is the bechina of Chava, okay? Which means like this: Sarah mitzad atzma, Taka can't be moiled. Now Avram mitzad atzma can't be moiled, right? But Avram is only moiled now that he's no longer Avram. Now he's Adam. Adam is moiled. Eila told the Shemayim V'aretz B'hi Baram. Right? This told is coming on once you're Adam. Sarah mitzad atzma is not moiled. Once she stepped into the role of Chava, she's Aim Kol Chai, right? So now she's going to be Moiled. That's what Taka happens when they reach these madregas. Now they become right. They are able to be Moiled. So this week's parsha, Sarah gets a basura that she's going to have a child, right? And she doesn't believe it. She knows Sarah can't have a child. She's not Moiled. But little does she know, right? When she becomes Chava, right? Now she's being Moiled. So what happens? Let's just take a step back. Chava's name is Chava. Why is Chava called Chava? Ki Aim Kol Chai. In fact, Kasha, if she's Aim Kol Chai, her name shouldn't be Chava. Her name should be Chaya. Right? Aim Kol Chai would be Chaya, not Chava. So Shteit in Svar Makadoshim, that Bemis, Chava's name was Chaya. That was her name. However, when she was Chayte with the Chet of the Nachash, the Chet of Eitzadas, Shteit that the Nachash was Baal Chava. and put in her zuama, right? So Chava ended up being affected by the Nachash. Nachash is in Aramaic is Chivia, and so due to the fact that Chava was no longer her original Chaya, and she was affected by the Nachash, now she's Chava because Chava's Meramis the Chivia Nachash. Okay, but Be'emes Chava's name is Chaya. When Chava gets her tikkun, and Sarah is a new Chava. Who's Sarah? Sarah's not. She's Chava, but she's Chaya. What do the Malachim tell Sarah? They tell Sarah, Shoiv Asher Lecha. Right? Sarah says, I can't have any children. They say, you will. Shoiv Asher Lecha. Why? Because Ka'es Chaya. Right? Now you're Chaya. Right? Ula Sarah Bain. Sarah as Chaya. Right? She's Takazechet to have children. Just stop. Just maybe just one other maybe just optimistic look. Avram Avinu, right? He has right now he's kilu building up the beginnings of Adam, right? The beginnings of Adam ultimately is that you start building from bottom down, right? You have to because we mentioned right that Sheis Yarchanech Mr. Shachneach, these people are all Chachma Bina Das. Avram Avinu has to start his Avodah Olam Hazeh, Esha Nefesh Asher Asher B'char, and he has to start working really from the ground up. When you start working from the ground up, so you start building up. Once you start building from the ground up, what do you have to do? You have to build all the way up, and he has to get his own madregas of Chachma over here. Okay, he has to start from the bottom and rebuild all the way up to the top, which is Chachma. Okay, Chachma is the top. Chachma Bina Das, Chesed Gvur Tzfas Nesachai Yisai Malchus. Okay. So he has to build up. So he's ready to build up. Avram Avinu has a bris. He's a chayla. Chayla gets bika chaylim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? What is bika chaylim? How does bika chaylim work? Right? If a person's a chayla, the way bika chaylim works, bika chaylim works that through the bika chaylim it brings refuah. Right? That's really the idea of bika chaylim. Bika chaylim is through your visiting, you bring your food. What's a kavanah of bika chayla? When a person goes to bika chayla, there's a kavanah azay. Chayla is bigamachia 49. Okay, 49 is a memtes shar bina. Okay, which have to do with zayin yemei abinyan because it's 7 times 7, like we see by sphere, right? That 49 is 7 times 7. When you want to get above olam hazeh, right? In order to have refuah, you have to get above olam hazeh. Olam Hazeh has in its chisroinus, and in order to be mamshech for, you want to get above Olam Hazeh, which is Sharnun of Bina. Okay, Sharnun of Bina is already called Chachma. That's where Bina reaches Chachma. Okay, so what happens is Avram Avinu, he's now ready to build. Hakadosh Baruch Hu puts him in a matzav of chayli. In a matzav of chayli, the chayli is mechayev Hakadosh Baruch Hu to do a bika chaylim. To do a bika chaylim, it's mechayev Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be mashpia on him from the Ailamas of Chachma, right? So it comes out that the fact that you would think, oh, it's like a chayli is a collateral damage of bris. That's what you would think, right? Conventionally, chayli is collateral damage of bris. It's a mitzvah, it hurts, and meila, too bad. No, chayli is a hechatimsa that he has a beaker from chaylim from a Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is being mabshich on him from Aylam Chachma. Okay, so meila it's not the bika chayil is not a b'diavad gezach. The chayil is the chatchila in order to inspire the ability of HaKadosh Baruch Hu being mashpia on him from the Olam Hazeh. Just a pneumatic stick in the kuda. We'll end up with just a cute story I told you Ari earlier, and you can't really fit into the shir so much, but just a very cute story for those of us that are half asleep. I get a call from David Parnes this week. He says Shabbos after Shacharis, he's walking home with his little son, Dovi. He's like 5-6 years old, and he tells him, Tati, I have my green Razor scooter. He says it's missing. I must have left it outside, and someone must have stolen it. I can't find it anymore. Can you buy me a new green Razor scooter? New Razor scooter, $30 scooter. Can you buy me a new one? So David says, he's just after Kiddush over there. He's a little high. He tells his kid, he says, listen, Why should I commit to buying a new scooter? Why don't you daven to Hashem? And Hashem will for sure listen to your tefillah, and you'll find your scooter, right? You get your scooter. Why should I commit to getting it? Maybe you should go daven. So Dovi says, okay, I'm gonna go daven. He goes, they part ways, whatever it is. Later that night, they go to Avos Abanim. Avos Abanim, they have a raffle. Who wins the grand prize? Dovi. What's the grand prize? A green Razor scooter. Good Shabbos.